Imagine a world where an entire generation is being rewired. This isn't science fiction. It is the reality for Gen Z, the first cohort to spend their entire adolescence with a smartphone in their pocket. The numbers are staggering. Some studies show that the average Gen Z individual picks up their phone more than 150 times a day. Think about that. It's an almost constant subconscious reflex. This isn't just casual use, it's a deep integration into their very existence. A digital limb they feel they cannot live without. The screen has become the primary portal through which they experience much of their world. Waking up to an alarm, falling asleep to a video, this constant connection has created an unprecedented landscape of psychological dependence. The device that promises to connect us to everything is paradoxically isolating us. For Gen Z, born between the mid-1990s and the early 2010s, there is no before to remember. They did not have a childhood free from the glowing rectangle. Boredom no longer meant picking up a book, or calling a friend on a landline, or simply staring out the window. Their neural pathways have been forged by instant notifications, endless scrolling, algorithmically curated content. This is what many researchers, myself included, call a silent but pervasive public health crisis. The statistics are a wake-up call. Surveys show upwards of 95% of teens have a smartphone. Nearly half report feeling addicted to their devices. They use that word. They recognize the pull, the compulsive checking, the anxiety when the battery dies, the panic when Wi-Fi fails. Self-awareness helps, but it often isn't enough to break the cycle. The architecture of apps is deliberately designed to capture and hold attention, creating a powerful feedback loop that's hard to escape. We are witnessing a grand, uncontrolled experiment on an entire generation. What happens when childhood and adolescence are mediated through a screen? The initial results are pouring in, and they're deeply concerning. We see correlations with mental health, social development, even physical well-being. This isn't about blaming technology, it is about understanding the shocking truth of growing up tethered to a device, and what we must do to mitigate harm before it becomes even more entrenched. For Generation Z, the smartphone is not merely a tool, it is an extension of the self. This makes identifying and admitting to addiction a complex and often painful process. To understand why Gen Z is so deeply attached to their phones, we must look beyond the hardware and into the sophisticated software designed to captivate them. The modern smartphone experience is not a passive one. It is a meticulously crafted environment powered by algorithms of persuasion. Social media feeds, video streaming services, mobile games. They are engineered by teams of psychologists, data scientists, designers whose primary goal is to maximize user engagement. They employ techniques borrowed from the casino industry, such as variable reward schedules. The pull to refresh feature on a social media feed is the digital equivalent of a slot machine lever delivering an unpredictable reward that keeps users coming back for more. This algorithmic pull is centered on providing a constant stream of novel content, of personalized content. The systems learn a user's preferences with frightening accuracy. The correlation between the explosion of smartphone use and the decline in teen mental health is too strong to ignore. Since around 2012, the year when smartphone ownership surpassed 50% in the United States, rates of depression, rates of anxiety, rates of self-harm. This is especially true for girls who tend to use image-based social media more intensively. While correlation does not equal causation, the evidence strongly suggests that the way young people are using their screens is a significant contributing factor to this mental health crisis. The constant social comparison, the pressure to present a perfect life, and the exposure to cyberbullying social media platforms function as a highlight reel of everyone else's life. Teens are inundated with carefully curated images of their peers and influencers enjoying exotic vacations, perfect relationships, and flawless appearances. This creates an unrealistic and unattainable standard of what life is supposed to be like. It's difficult for an adolescent who is naturally prone to insecurity to see these images and not feel that their own life is lacking in comparison. This upward social comparison is a known psychological trigger for feelings of envy, low self-esteem, and depression. They are comparing their behind-the-scenes reality with everyone else's public performance, a comparison they are guaranteed to lose. The very nature of online interaction can also exacerbate anxiety. While smartphones promise endless social connection, they are systematically undermining real-world social skills. The art of conversation is practiced less and less by Gen Z. Face-to-face interaction is messy, face-to-face interaction is unpredictable, it requires reading subtle nonverbal cues. Digital communication is controlled and curated. Edit your text, choose the perfect emoji, craft a response. That preference for screen safety reduces practice in spontaneous in-person dialogue. Many young people feel more comfortable texting than actually sitting and talking with friends. This deficit leads to increased social anxiety, making eye contact, initiating small talk with a stranger. Navigating a disagreement, you can't just log off. Employers and professors now report young people struggle with basic professional communication, less assertive, less able to collaborate in groups, less comfortable with unscripted interactions. The skills to build rapport, show empathy, and resolve conflict aren't being honed digitally. When family time is punctuated by screens, bonds weaken. Shared experiences are fractured by digital distractions. The negative effects of excessive phone use are not confined to the social and emotional realms. They have a direct and measurable impact on physical health and academic performance, starting with sleep. The vast majority of teens sleep with their phones in or near their beds. This creates a triple threat to healthy rest. First, the blue light emitted from screens suppresses the production of melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone that signals to the brain that it's time to sleep. Using a phone before bed can delay the onset of sleep and disrupt the natural sleep-wake cycle, making it harder to fall asleep and harder to wake up. Second, the content itself is stimulating. Intense video games, a dramatic social media exchange, an endless stream of short-form videos. The phone keeps the brain in a state of alert engagement when it should be winding down. This psychological stimulation works against the body's natural drive for sleep. Third, the fear of missing out keeps the phone within arm's reach. The buzz of a late-night notification can be enough to pull a teen out of the early stages of sleep, leading to fragmented and poor-quality rest. The result is a generation that is chronically sleep-deprived, which has profound consequences for every aspect of their lives. This epidemic of poor sleep directly translates to poor academic performance. A tired brain cannot learn effectively. The statistics are powerful, but the individual stories bring the reality of this issue into sharp focus. Consider the story of Chloe, a 16-year-old vibrant student athlete. After becoming deeply immersed in Instagram, TikTok, her life changed. She began spending hours each day perfecting her online image, comparing her body to fitness influencers, tracking her likes as a measure of her worth. Her grades plummeted, she quit the soccer team, she became withdrawn and irritable with her family. Her parents found her crying in her room one night. She confessed she felt ugly and worthless because she couldn't live up to impossible standards online. Her story is a common one, how digital validation can consume identity. Then the case of Leo, a 19-year-old college freshman. In high school he was social, had a close group of friends. In college he retreated into online gaming Discord chats. He found it easier to connect with online teammates than dorm life. He would stay up all night gaming, skip morning classes, spend his days sleeping. His real-world relationships atrophied. He failed his first semester not from lack of ability, but because his phone and computer became a refuge, a captivating world demanding all his time. The alarm is not just being sounded by parents and educators, child psychologists, neuroscientists, and even tech industry insiders. Dr. Nicholas Kardaras has called screens digital heroin, pointing out similarities in how they affect the brain's frontal cortex, which controls executive functioning and impulse control. Breaking free from the grip of phone addiction is not easy, but it is possible. The first and most crucial step for Gen Z is awareness and intention. It begins with asking honest questions. How much time am I really spending on my phone? How does it make me feel? What am I missing out on in the real world? Using a screen time tracking app can be an eye-opening experience, providing concrete data that can motivate change. Once aware, the goal is not to eliminate the phone entirely, but to transform it from a master into a servant. Make a conscious plan for how and when to use the device. Create sacred spaces and sacred times that are phone-free. The bedroom should be the first sanctuary. Charge the phone in another room overnight. Use a traditional alarm clock to protect sleep. The dinner table is another critical phone-free zone. Practice the art of conversation and connect with family. Designate specific times for checking social media, for 15 minutes after school, for 15 minutes after dinner. This helps contain the behavior. Curate a healthier digital environment. Take control of the algorithms. Turn off all non-essential notifications. Every buzz and ding is an interruption. Unfollow accounts that trigger envy or inadequacy. Fill your feeds with content that is educational. Fill your feeds with content that is inspiring. Fill your feeds with content related to a real-world hobby. It requires a courageous commitment to reclaim time and attention for messy, beautiful, irreplaceable real-life experiences.